you hear what's my house sequence.
Roll call, please.
Alderman Jim Baird,
Here.
Alderman John Gibson,
Here.
Alderman Jim Gillen,
Here.
Alderman Darby Patrick,
Here.
Alderman Mindy Sugar,
Here.
Vice Mayor Teresa Moss,
Here.
Mayor Pat Stillwell.
Here. Before we get started, I made a phone call today, a business phone call, and it turned into a sad phone call. And there's a man, his name is David Joyner, and he does a lot of our, and he volunteers and doesn't charge us a lot of times, he, over the years, has done our brickwork and all that, and I know up at the memorial in the park for our veterans, he's done that. His daughter told me today that hospice has been called in, and it doesn't look good. So we need to have a moment of silence for that family, please, and pray that she says, please pray for her. I will pray for her, and I don't care to tell you, I will pray. Amen. Okay, let's get to the business of Employee of the Month. That's me, it's me. Oh, wait a minute, I'm not an employee, I'm just here.
Face turned red.
Put that on y'all for you. Okay, Keisha, come up here, please. You can stand over here on the side since you're on the movies. This is Keisha Harvin, and she's been with us how long now?
A little over a year.
Okay, and tell them what you do and how much you have to put up with. Oh, wait, did you go to me? Take that again. With the chief of police, she has to see him every day.
I am
Bless her
the
heart.
court clerk, and like she said, I just deal with the citations and things of that nature at the police department.
So she's got a rough job. They're mad as they come in anyway most of the time, so she has to suck it up, don't you, honey? Well, anyway, we want to present you the Employee of the Month,
Thank you.
and you have been a wonderful employee so far. Keep it up, and we just wish you all the safety that the job that you have to deal with.
Thank you.
Okay, and thank you all. You're welcome. Thank you, honey, for all you do and all that you've done.
You can't leave.
I can't. I have a family that can't take.
We do too. I want to welcome each of you all for here tonight. Thank you for the Kingsport and the Rogersville Review people to be here. So you just have to be on your best behavior when they're here, you know. Anyway, thank you all for coming. And we appreciate all of you all that have come out, and our police, this is our fire chief now. And would you like to tell everybody who you are?
Mitch Walker, I'm just the interim fire chief for right now.
But that's your chief, you're considered as chief right now. And thank you for coming tonight, Vince. He is one of our employees here. And the rest of you all, we really appreciate you all coming, and thanks to all the aldermen for coming and putting up with me sometimes. And thank you too over there, the job that you all do. Okay, approval and correction of the minutes and the Board of Mayor and Aldermen meeting as of March 23rd, 2023, and the committee, department reports, and the monthly financial report. Do I hear any discussion on this?
Make a motion to approve it.
Mindy makes the motion.
Second that.
And Jim Bear seconded. Alderman. Okay, roll call.
Just do all in favor.
All in favor, say aye. Those that's not in favor, say no. Okay, that is passed. Okay, the visitors' comments, of course, we discussed this the last month, and we decided to put it back at the beginning of the meetings. But all persons wishing to address the board shall stand and state your name and your address, and you shall be limited to a brief presentation. The board may not participate in any of the discussions and cannot vote on the subject that you are presenting. Absence and emergency, the earliest time the board might discuss and vote your matter will be at the next board meeting. Individuals or group representatives who have placed an item on tonight's agenda will be allowed to make a brief comment when that agenda item is open for discussion. Do I have any discussion or anybody who would like to say something? No visitors' comments? Okay, then we'll move on. Old business, 8. Discussion and consideration of ordinance 23-518, ordinance amending Title 15, the motor vehicles, traffic parking, Chapter 6, parking, and Mount Carmel Municipal Code. Do I have any discussion?
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Teresa, Alderman Teresa.
After reviewing this, I really don't like the way that it's written. To me, it's like people are having to ask permission to have parties, graduation parties, birthday parties. None of us want to have people at our home, but it happens when someone passes away. People gather at the home of the deceased. It's like they're having to ask permission the way this is written, at the discretion of the police chief. I don't like this at all, the way it's written. Nobody here that lives in this town should, the way this is written, is asking permission. No.
The board's outcome in the vote was that there's no parking on public streets. And that was a blanket, no parking. It was that, the section you're talking about is an attempt to, when you have a situation, as you said, it could be a funeral, it could be anything, and simply to contact the chief of police, and I don't have him here, so I guess, is he out there? Well, you could ask him, but it's his discretion, and I can imagine he would do that. And you're asking permission to do it because it's against the ordinance to park in the street unless you have that permission. I'd be willing to take the suggestions the board might have, but you're right, that's what it says.
I just don't like it.
Did we have a talk on this before, that he's not going around, I mean, everybody knows when you have a funeral or a party or whatever, he's not going to go around and picking them out. There was also a park on there that people down on, what is the name of that 6th Street, all the way, Creekside?
Creekside, yes.
That in bad weather, they can park up there. I mean,
This does allow for inclement weather parking in that situation.
yeah.
Barring that, that was the only reason, that was the only alternative we had, that was allowed to park in the street. It does say inclement weather, it says, no parking allowed in the paved portion of any street within the town of Mount Carmel, except in the event of extreme inclement weather conditions. Temporary parking permits may be issued at the discretion of chief of police in order to accommodate other temporary on-street parking due to exigent circumstances.
Well, it says a temporary parking permit can be issued, so, and that, so,
I make a motion to accept it.
I second that motion.
roll call, please.
Accept it as written.
Alderman Jim Bear,
Yes.
Alderman John Gibson,
No.
Alderman Jim Gillen,
Yes.
Alderman Darby Patrick,
No.
Alderman Mindy Sugar,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Teresa Monk,
No.
Mayor Pat Stillwell.
Yes,
And it passes second reading.
Okay. B is discussion consideration of ordinance 23-521, an ordinance to delete Title VI of the Municipal Code Department of Public Safety and add Chapter 8 to the title of the General Administration, I'm sorry. Any questions?
Make a motion to accept it.
I'll second.
Made the motion. Mindy. Second. Christie.
Alderman Jim Bayer,
Yes.
Alderman John Gibson.
Yes.
Alderman Jim Gillum.
Yep.
Alderman Darby Patrick.
Yes.
Alderman Mindy Sugar.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Teresa Mock.
Yes.
Mayor Pat Stillwell.
Yes.
And that passed the second reading as well.
Now we'll move into the new business. Discussion, consideration of changing the times for our meetings at 6:30, from 6:30 to 5:30. Do I have any discussion? I'd like to make the motion then to accept this. Do I have a second?
Okay.
Okay, roll call please.
Okay, Alderman Jim Bayer,
Yes.
Alderman John Gibson,
Yes.
Alderman Jim Gillum,
Yes.
Alderman Darby Patrick.
Yes.
Alderman Mindy Sugar,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Teresa Mock,
Yes.
Mayor Pat Stillwell.
Yes.
So that's one clarification on that. What, that takes 2 readings to go into effect,
I was
correct?
just asking him that. Will it take 2 readings?
It's in ordinance format currently,
The present one's in ordinance format, they can pass that.
Okay.
so that won't go into effect until the July meeting.
Yeah, we will have it on the agenda next month.
June.
Yeah.
So it's going to affect the possible June meeting.
Yeah, if
Okay.
it passes next month.
So we have to come, still get at 6:30 until it
For
passes
May.
again.
For May, yes.
Yeah.
June will be about, soon as you get it published.
Yeah. Yeah.
6 months, they get behind.
Okay.
And will that be the same for the workshops?
That's my understanding that it was for everything.
Yes, it was.
Okay, I just wasn't.
So it was for both meetings. But remember now, next month, you have to come at 6:30 instead of 5:30 unless you're gonna bring out lunch or supper, late lunch or early supper. And I'll sit here and eat it while we're waiting on everybody else to come in. Okay. Excuse me. D, discussion consideration, resolution 625, a resolution for large item and brush pickup. Any discussions? Could you explain it just a little bit, please?
Yes,
Because
so,
we need it in the media.
the discussion that was had at the workshop was about, the issue, which this has been an ongoing issue with the large item, pickup. So, it's expensive and it's time consuming, it breaks down the roads, et cetera, et cetera. So in an effort to, kind of clean up the process and, I guess improve the process, we discussed, going back to, I believe it was my understanding that originally this started as just brush and leaves
That's
pickup.
exactly.
And so that's what we're going back to, and also in an attempt to help like clean up the streets because there seems to be large items and trash everywhere. So, what was discussed, what's in the resolution is that collection of brush leaves and grass clippings will continue to occur daily. What happens is they start on one side of the town, they go down every single street until he gets to the other side of the town, and then he starts all over, you know, it's just constant cycle. So that will occur, by route, you know, the same way in a 1 month time period. So Week 1 through 3 is gonna be daily brush, leaves, and grass clippings. And then the 4th week of the month will be a special collection of certain household items and appliances such as stoves, refrigerators, water tanks, washing machines, dryers, furniture, mattresses, bed springs, oversized cardboard boxes which cannot be broken down and put into your trash can. Things of that nature will be picked up on the 4th week. If you are needing to have items like that picked up, you have to call City Hall. You have to pay a collection fee of, what's in here is $50, but it can be at your discretion. You schedule it, you pay the deposit, and then they come out and they pick it up on the specified date that you've been scheduled. So that way, that's gonna eliminate, people throwing stuff out and then it sits there for 2 or 3 weeks before the truck comes back around. So if you schedule your appointment, you know exactly when to put your stuff out and you can plan for that. And then, we will collect a fee for that service.
So that's just only one time a month,
For a week,
For a
and you
week.
call, you
and
schedule.
you have to
get the-
schedule that,
Yes.
or it will not be picked up. And then
Correct.
if you don't schedule it and it stays out there, then there'll be consequences.
Yes. Also, it says on here, for 1 week, 2 times a year, so in the spring and the fall, the town will pick up all of those same large items that don't include the brush. They'll do that for free of charge. So you have 2 weeks out of the year where you can, throw your stuff out and you don't have to pay. But if you do wanna schedule something any other time throughout the year, then you have to call City Hall, schedule it, and pay a fee.
Now, when we do that one, in the spring and in the fall,
We'll
we will
advertise for
let
that.
them know what week that will be.
Yes.
And so that there will not be any mix-up or any confusion on
Yeah.
when that stuff picks up.
Yeah.
And they cannot put that out 2 or 3 weeks before. It
Correct.
has to be just the day before that it's to be picked up.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, I'm just making that straight and clear, so. This started out years ago, and Teresa and I are probably the oldest ones on here. We ain't telling anybody how old we are though. But anyway, it started out as just brush pickup and the leaves pickup. And little by little, by the goodness of people's hearts that run the brush truck, they would say, please, can you help me? Can you help me? And they would be doing that. Then the snowball got bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's out of control. We either do it this way, or we'll have to go off on taxes. That's all I can say. Because 5 trips a day to Bradley Creek trash field, and you take a brush truck the way we got it, and as big as that brush truck is, and as much as gas that it hauls, that it has to have. And then they have to mix something else, what I think, I'm telling you, right? They have to mix something else with that gas. Well, it takes a man away from mowing in the summer and pushing the snow in the winter time. And it just got so expensive, and when we go down there, we have to pay too, don't we, Teresa? Emily, so much haul, right? And so I know that sometimes in my neighborhood, it comes through twice, cause there's at one place, there might be too much, and you'll have to take that load to Bradley Creek and then come back and another load. Not very often does it happen in my neighborhood, but it does.
If someone does lay something out and it don't supposed to be there, who will be the person that will be finding them?
Right there's your man. Look at him.
He hadn't been briefed on that yet.
Surprise! This is what you get when you come to the meeting.
What we're hoping to do is get Vince involved, or maybe just some code enforcement from the police. They can do that too, because essentially they'd be breaking a code, be a code violation. So we will watch out for it. Charles, our public works guys will be all eyes out. So, you know, we'll make sure that, if there's a code violation, that we get it cleaned up and,
And what kind of fine would it be? Somebody say, lay something out, I mean.
We had discussed that, haven't
It's in the ordinance.
is there a code, is there a fine?
Any fine in the municipal court would be a maximum of $50. That, I mean, it could be whatever the judge assesses, but the maximum is $50.
Okay.
That was
And we're
set-
sorry we
that was
have
set
to
in
do
like
this.
1850, which 50 bucks
Is
is a
that
lot
per
money.
day or per time?
Per, you can be cited per day if you are cited. I think, what I'd recommend is that if the enforcement's gonna do that, that you go each day and issue a citation.
Now, there is a man in town, and, we'd have to ask him first if we can give his phone number out to you all, and that will come and pick up, appliances and refrigerators, and when you put that refrigerator out, if we pick it up on that one time a month, when it comes up, then you have to pay to get the Freon took out of it. And he is licensed to take the Freon out of it, so he takes it home and takes the Freon out of it. And so therefore, we'll get in touch with him and ask him first. I'm sure he will, cause he got aggravated at me one day, cause I didn't call him, cause somebody had something out. He said, "You're supposed to be calling me," and I said, "I didn't know it," so, but anyway, he does pick it up, and he puts it up on his truck, and they go take it out, and it don't cost you anything with him. So,
I would like to make one statement. I expect us to get a lot of unhappy people over this decision. And in case you don't know, Churchill large item pickup is on the third week of the month. It consists of garbage too large to be put in our garbage trucks, such as furniture, appliances, and metal. Please put your large items out with a regular garbage so we could pick up, as some items may be picked up with your garbage. So we get you to listen to this, so you can be prepared.
well, we don't do what Churchill does, we do
No,
what
but-
Mount Carmel does.
Yeah, but we live right next door to them, and how many of us have family that lives there? But we're gonna be hearing it, we're gonna be hearing it, we're gonna be compared. Why all of a sudden are we gonna have to charge people?
Well, it's becoming a problem.
It's become such a problem. Right.
No more than any other town in Indy.
It's still.
Yeah, these, ours is trashed up more than anybody.
Vice Mayor, not to be rude, but you're forgetting that you're also on the board of Kingsport, and Kingsport does charge for pickup.
And not according to what was pulled up by somebody I worked with today. It doesn't say that they charge them.
Kingsport does charge.
They do
They
charge.
do
They
charge.
do.
I know.
It says contractor,
The-
it said contractor and carpet, but it didn't state specifically,
One of the discussions I had with Kingsport when we talked about, the contract for trash pickup was that sanitation is to be treated, proprietary. You know, we shouldn't be losing money on sanitation. So either you're doing something wrong or you're gonna have to implement costs associated with it, and that's where we are. So we're trying to figure out, are we doing something wrong by picking, because essentially we're paying, for a trash contract for Kingsport to pick up our trash, in addition to picking up other trash every single day. Because we're picking up more than large items. They have to stop at every single house down the street and pick up small boxes, and just even a small pile of sticks that could be just thrown in the
Well,
trash can.
why can't they use discretion and leave that to sit there? Why can't they use discretion?
Because we
on that?
get a lot of complaints about people that leave their stuff out there.
I
A
get
lot of that
lost.
stuff could go in the trash.
It could, I agree. Yeah, I mean, every time I have a box, I break it down for the trash can, but not a lot of people, I mean, there's a lot of people that use every single inch in their trash can, so,
Oh, yeah, we
you know.
do.
Well, here's another thing is, that in those boxes, trash and everything, even needles have been found in boxes. So that right there is just, safety. You know, so, all right.
Could we do the collection fee at $25, and then if they don't, then it
It
can be
is the
cited
board's
to $50?
We'll
discretion, yeah.
have to discuss,
The
we'll have
board's
to discuss that
discretion.
at the next, workshop.
Or
So
you
do
can
do
make
you
a
wanna table
motion.
this until then?
I'd like to just make a motion to accept it.
I will second that one.
We'll be talking about this all night.
Right. Okay, second one. All right, all in favor, say aye.
I'll call that one.
Malcolm, call, roll call.
That's a resolution, I don't think that's.
We can do whichever you'd like to
Question,
do.
we divide the house on it, if not.
Just, we'll just go, yays, no nays.
Let's do a roll call. Since we don't anything else with roll call, perhaps we'll.
Roll call then,
Yeah,
okay.
We could do either one, but in this situation, it may be best just to do a roll call.
Alderman Jim Baird,
No.
Alderman John Gibson,
No.
Alderman Jim Gillen,
Yes.
Alderman Darby Patrick,
Yes.
Alderman Mindy Schubert,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Teresa Mock,
No,
Mayor Pat Stillwell.
Yes,
Okay, motion passes.
Does that need a second reading?
It's written as a resolution right now.
Okay.
okay, we'll move on. Discussion and consideration to accept the bid of phase one improvements of WWTP. Explain that to the audience, please, to what WWTP is and all that.
Okay, we just had a bid opening on April the 11th, for phase one improvements at our wastewater treatment plant. Let's see, the project includes, modifications to the existing primary clarifier tanks, addition of mechanical mixes in the anoxic tanks, addition of a filtration system, and enclosure on the plant recycle water line, decommissioning the primary clarifiers, the anoxic tanks, associated work in the electrical room, and then just miscellaneous work in yard piping, site grading, minor concrete repair, tank dredging and cleaning, and other things that come along with the major modifications. We had 4 bids, I believe, that came in. The lowest was Frizzell Construction Company out of Bristol at $1,773,000. They turned in, they got both addendums and turned in their I've lost my train of thought. Their bond. So, that's who our engineers, have recommended that we go with.
I'll make a motion to accept it.
So how long is this supposed to go on?
Hang on just a second.
You can't do two things one time?
I can't. This, I believe the completion date is set for next, it's not in here, but I believe the completion date will be a year from, maybe June 2024.
Okay, I'll just put that one
Yeah. It may not take that long, so,
Is that just for phase one?
yes.
Okay.
in. Now, when's phase two starting again?
I don't know.
Where we get the money?
Yeah,
Anyway, Mandy had a motion in.
I got a second from John, Alderman
John.
Gibson.
I wanted to ask, is this a different engineering firm or exactly?
It is, yes. Yes, we have a new engineer and a new project manager on this, so we transitioned.
Okay, good. Any more discussion on this?
Have they been to any of our meetings?
I believe Matthew was here 2 months ago,
Yeah.
maybe?
2 months ago, yeah.
He's the one that was discussing the project itself.
Yes.
Okay, roll call, please.
Alderman Jim Bayer,
Yes.
Alderman John Gibson.
Yes.
Alderman Jim Gillum,
Yes.
Alderman Darby Patrick,
Yes.
Alderman Mindy Sugar,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Teresa Mock,
Yes.
Mayor Pat Stilwell.
Yes. Okay, L, discussion and consideration, the town-owned property at 210 Maple Street. Okay, do I have any discussion?
Make a motion discussion. I got a lady that wants to buy the house. Talked to her. She said she'd give $80,000 for it. And we bought that for 100, I think 101, wasn't it? 101,000?
Somewhere along in there.
Then
A
the
little
one
over
next door,
100,000.
they bought it for 100,000. And I think it would cost, if you had to rebuild a house, probably around 270, maybe 300,000. Now Vince sitting back there, he can tell you what's wrong with it, what we put in there. We put a new furnace, new humidifier, or not humidifier, but,
Air conditioning.
air conditioning and heat pump. And I'm gonna just make a motion that we go ahead and sell this house because we can use the money to buy or put towards the new brush truck that we need.
It will, okay, if we sell it, it'll have to go as is.
You have to sell it as is.
Yes.
But I think also we have to give them 100-foot deep lot by 70, which would be 17.
In order to everybody have an idea of what the layout is, I can pass these out.
Oh.
You got code? You got-
Yeah.
All of those are there. That's what it's
Here it is.
I got one.
We'd end up getting, income, we'd get taxes off of it if we did it this way.
And the chief just said we
Almost the middle of the page, you see slightly, I guess it's sort of a blue. The house that we're talking about is the L-shaped house off the street. The issue becomes that when the people that were there built the house and stuff, they used what was then a alleged right-of-way. As you can see, it goes exactly against the garage, the back part of that house on the white. You would have, in order to make them have access, you'd have to give them at least, I would think, 20 feet. I mean, you park a pickup truck, your pickup truck's almost 20 feet long.
We have a driveway.
Huh? Well, that then becomes a problem because it does significantly encroach upon what used, it's not a right of way anymore, folks. The town now owns both houses, so therefore the right of way became the town's when they bought all the surrounding property. So it's not so much a question of taking the right of way, it's a question of whether you're able to have a approvable lot for the house, giving them access to the garage. Going back, I would think that would be, something to be easy to do for the backyard. But you do have that issue, and I'll let Vince talk to where that thinks you can do it, but the house with the orange roof is the one we also own, but it has a life tenant in it. So we won't be able to do anything with that per se until the life tenancy.
So, would this affect the LBF grant that we applied for since we use the house as, did we use the house kind of as a,
Collateral.
Yeah.
We haven't been awarded the grant yet, so we don't know.
so somehow would kind of potentially screw us with that grant?
We would, if we're able to use it as, collateral, well, we wouldn't be able to if we sold it, so we would have to come up with a matching, portion of that.
So, I mean, the whole, wasn't obviously here whenever they purchased that, but we have very little park space. And that was the whole plan, is to eventually be able to expand up that way, whether it be parking or adding whatever. And would we be creating a right of way in this blue?
You would have to have it surveyed, and I believe you'd have to then have a new parcel
basically surveyed, including whatever portion of the right was necessary to give them access.
So what would the point be, I mean, cause if we was to sell this one, then what would be the point of keeping the other house whenever that person passes away? And, I mean, it defeats,
Originally, if I remember is correct, that there was discussion about the town building a
community center.
community center type of situation up there where there would be a meeting room that the citizens could use, would be, you know, they talked about perhaps relocating. I think that was wishful thinking as the years have progressed. But that was the original thing, and that's why they needed both.
Well, it's expensive to build a community center, really expensive to build one.
Well, yeah, they had, I remember there was some numbers thrown around, it was $1 million or something.
Vince, you wanna get in there and tell us something about this?
Well, if you want to sell the house, I would think, on the garage side, you would want to give them at least 24 foot wide to where you can come in and turn into the garage. And in the backyard, our setback requirements for a rear yard's 25 feet, so at least 25 feet behind the house. You'd have to have it surveyed.
We were trying to, Vince, do you agree that it's probably a 30-foot strip back through there?
The original fact shows that as a 30-foot
30
strip.
foot, so you could, the blue line is 30 feet wide, and Vince is saying, you know, you can cut 25 feet of that. You'd have to attach to the house on the right, the L-shaped structure.
Now, the house that, who knows whenever we'll be able to sell it or get rid of it, do they do have a driveway, don't they?
No.
Oh, they don't?
They
It
get a
looks like
separate
it is.
driveway to their car. They got a separate driveway to their car.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what
but I
I
mean,
was
they don't,
thinking.
there's nothing to the back garage.
No, not to the back, no.
So in other words, we'd have to divide just about this into two
You have to-
properties.
You'd have to have a surveyor come in and you basically subdividing the
Subdivide,
property,
yeah,
and
okay.
it would require, like I said, I was assuming they would possibly buy it, we use the garage, you'd have to have, you know, 25 feet coming out into that, which would take most of the,
What'd you say that right of way was, 30 feet?
30 feet shown on the plat.
I mean, didn't we talk about just tearing it down? Sorry, I mean, didn't we talk about just tearing it down? Cause the way I think is like, aren't we trying to plan for the future of Mount Carmel? Like, we're screwing the future out of whatever they could possibly do, cause you never know what can happen. You know, or what grants you can get or whatever, and we're literally taking that space away that we are very limited to already.
How much space, if we would do this, how much space is left there behind it?
behind it's a huge amount of space, as you can see, it goes all the way back to the parking lot. It's not the behind it's the problem, it's the side. I don't think it'd be any problem, there's plenty of yard back there.
The plat, I think, shows 5 50-foot lots, so it's 250 foot wide to begin with.
Okay.
You'd be
Plenty of room
you'd
back
be
there
selling no
if
more
we
than
didn't want to build a
125
building back
feet.
there.
Where
My
they don't
motion
have
is
parking.
we just go ahead and sell it.
That's where the parking was gonna go too for that building. We don't have enough parking where we're at.
Before you decide, you'd have to have, I would think you'd wanna have a feasibility done as far as from a surveyor or somebody who's working with bids as to what it's gonna cost to do that, because surveys and stuff are not cheap.
So do we have a second from anybody to vote on this?
I'll second it. Go ahead and vote on it.
And what's the motion? Just so
I don't know, whatever Jim says. I make a motion to tear it down. I thought that's what we
Jim's
were
voted
doing.
to sell and you're second.
He's talked
I
about.
second just to tear it down. I mean, I prefer this.
Oh, wait, okay, the motion was to sell the property. Is there a second to sell the property?
I would like to find out what, he says the survey's so expensive, I'd like to know what the cost of the survey is. That might, as far as that goes, that might be part of the sale price.
The table, surveyors are booked out right now like 6 months, I deal with them on a daily basis, and the minimum's $400 to $500.
I'll make a
On a
motion
good
to table.
Are you thinking that
Still
if we
have
sell this,
four.
There's
Wait a
motion
minute,
to
wait a
sell
minute,
the
too many people talking at the same time.
are you saying that we can't sell it as is because you think there's not enough width of the lot to allow them to?
I
Maybe we
don't
don't
know how
wrap
you
it
can
with-
sell it as it is, Vince, I mean,
It can't be, you think it can't be
it
sold
doesn't even
as
have a
is?
setback from the side lot, I mean, you know, it was built on the line, you know? And so it would never been allowed to been built today with surveying and the
Yeah.
rules we have, I mean, yeah,
Well,
I
I do
don't think you
understand
can sell it
this,
as
they do
a,
not like that place up there.
but
You gotta have a survey, cause how much of a backyard you would give them.
Well, we
The
didn't want to give them.
the original deed is for 250-foot deed. If you
That's
wanna
a
sell
big
it.
lot. That's a big lot.
Second.
Okay,
I decided to go 100 foot long and 70 feet wide. That's what I was gonna go give with the house if we got to sell it, which would be fine. It gives them 1,700 square feet.
well, perhaps to see where we're going is, your motion is to sell it, if you would modify your motion to say, sell it if the other.
As is.
If, well, as is, but if the survey and stuff should work out and we're willing to incur the cost, your motion to sell would be conditioned upon those things. And then the board can vote, if they vote, then that passes, then we know what we're doing. If it doesn't pass, then somebody would have the option of making any other motions.
Take the vote.
Well, are you gonna modify your motion?
You got that now?
Okay, so the motion is to sell the property. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Alderman Jim Bear,
No.
Alderman John Gibson,
No.
Alderman Jim Gillum,
Yes.
Alderman Darby Patrick,
No.
Alderman Mindy Schubert,
no.
Vice Mayor Teresa Mock,
Yes.
Mayor Pat Stillwell.
Yes,
The motion fails.
Okay, I wanna make a motion just to tear it down like we talked about.
Okay.
Second.
What's the motion?
Motion to tear it down.
what's it gonna cost to tear it down, do you know?
Thousands.
Our public works.
Did you get have you got an estimate
Did you
or
do a phone
anything?
for them?
Not, no.
We don't use
So we don't know how much it's
Yeah,
gonna
we
pay.
talked about
close to
Public
that.
Works doing
But we can
it,
still use it a lot.
they felt like they were. Okay, let me do a roll call, cause
Yeah.
the motion is to tear it down, and Alderman Gibson has seconded that, so let me do the roll
But
call.
wait a minute, let me ask another question. Before you go on to this vote, we need to know how much it's gonna cost us to
There's
tear
already a
it
motion and a
down.
second, so you can vote against it if you want to. Want to do the roll call?
Well, I think we should table it myself, until
Well, we gotta
we
vote on
find
this
out
motion
what's
first.
going on, or how much it's gonna cost us.
For me, you
At this
guys,
point, there's a motion on the floor.
Keep
Yeah,
going.
okay.
Yeah, you want to vote on that motion. If there's an intervening motion to table it, and there's that vote passes, then you can table it. We need to go forward with a vote either way. And
I think we need to get some more information on it myself. See what it would actually cost to tear it down. If you're gonna tear it down, which is could be thousands of dollars. And you've gotta be bonded because the house next door, Public Works can't do all that. They'll tell you that. Then you gotta bring credit specialists with you in too.
we tore a house down about 3 or 4 months ago, Vince had a house torn down. And it was a big house. On one side of the hill there.
That house was around 7,500, but that was a much smaller house.
But this house.
It wasn't brick either, was
No,
it?
it was not brick.
It wasn't brick either, was
Rotten
it?
wood, wasn't it? Rotten wood.
You know, you're right,
I don't think
Rockwood,
I'll get your before you don't pay for it.
but was it difficult terrain?
Pardon?
Difficult terrain, very hard to get to.
Oh, yes.
This would be easy to get, if you got a basement, you can fill it up the basement, then tear it up.
We're ready for a vote.
I call for a question.
Yeah, it's no-
Alderman Jim Bear,
Yes.
Alderman John Gibson.
Yes.
Alderman Jim Gillum,
What's this one for, tearing it down?
Tearing it
Tearing
down.
it down.
Never turn a nice house down.
Alderman Darby Patrick,
Yes,
Alderman Mindy Schubert,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Teresa Monk,
No.
Mayor Pat Stillwell.
No. Because we don't know how much it's gonna cost. Compare it down. Okay. Nice.
Pass 4-3.
Okay. Next on the agenda is discussion and consideration of resolution 626, resolution to submit application for the 2023 home fund with the THDA. Emily, would you explain that, what this is?
Okay, so this is another Tennessee Housing Development Agency. They do housing rehabilitation for low-income people. It goes through an application process, and basically low-income individuals can have their homes either significantly rehabbed or even rebuilt in some situations. So the grant is $250,000. There's no requirement to match that from the town, so it's strictly state funds paying 100% to redo houses.
Motion to accept.
Second.
I would like to ask something a moment, please. How is this money processed?
It
They
comes,
send you-
it comes from the state to us, and then we issue the checks out of that money. So we're a pass-through agency.
Yeah.
What is the process? How do you decide who's gonna receive those funds?
There's an application process, and they, First Tennessee Development District, they typically administer these grants. So THDA comes in, there's certain requirements that have to be met before they'll award the grant. So people will apply for the grant, they'll submit their application with all their supporting documentations, and if they're awarded, then they have to complete a class, like a financial course and a couple other things. So they have to then meet the requirements too, but we don't have a say in who receives the grant, or the actual, funding for it. But once that happens, they'll go out for bid, and they have contractors that bid on these projects, and I believe, Vince, correct me if I'm wrong, didn't one house get completely rebuilt like the last cycle?
Yes, it's for low-income persons, number one, property line, that owns houses that dilapidated. We rebuilt one house in town last cycle.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
They took a shack and made it into a house. Keeps the same footprint, same layout. Can't be any bigger, and you can't add no rooms. But they do a good job of providing a needy person a warm, dry place to live.
So it isn't that there's gonna be extra work on you and the other girls?
No, we are purely a pass-through agency, and because we are willing to accept it, it benefits a home or a resident in our community. So, and I think we had two of them in the last cycle, so we just cut checks and that's it.
Didn't we do this last year, Pastor?
I believe it was either last year or 2 years
I
ago.
remember doing it, I remember voting on this
Yeah.
before.
A couple of years ago, I believe.
Okay, that's what I was thinking.
It had a person.
Who made the motion?
Alderman Gibson made a motion, and Alderman Sugar second.
Yep.
Second. Okay, roll call please.
Alderman Jim Bayer,
Yes.
Alderman John Gibson.
Yes.
Alderman Jim Gillum.
Yes.
Alderman Darby Patrick.
Yes.
Alderman Mindy Schubert.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Teresa Monk.
Yes.
Mayor Pat Stillwell.
Yes. Okay, that passes. H is discussion and consideration of the ordinance 23522, ordinance to amend the FY 23 budget. Explain that, please.
Okay, so I've been working on the budget, and the current fiscal year budget, as we discussed in the workshop, the street lights are so expensive, that we are going way over in state street aid budget, so, our revenues were higher than we had anticipated. So we're just amending the budget to reflect the revenues that were not anticipated, but that came in, and then, amending the expenditures in state street aid so that we're not over budget in state street aid. Same in the recreation expenditures. What happened there was we were, given some joint rec billings from 2 fiscal years ago in this fiscal year. So we had to pay those out of this fiscal year, and that took us over budget in that department as well. But we do have the revenues to cover it, so, the amendment would just be to, increase expenditures in state street aid and recreation, and increase our, revenues that had come in that were not reflected in the budget that was passed.
Well, I'd like to make the motion that we table this and discuss this at our next workshop in detail. That'd be better.
I'll second that.
I will say that for the ordinance, to amend this fiscal year budget so that we don't have an audit finding, it will have to be passed by June, and it takes 2 readings.
Let's have a special meeting then.
Why do we spend money?
I think that we need to discuss this more.
There's a motion on the floor to table it.
We were discussing whether it's June 1st or June 30th. It only says it's June 30th, so perhaps we, by doing it in May, and the May meeting, the June meeting, we would beat it.
Yes. So I have a motion to table from Mayor Stillwell.
Yes.
Second.
We can discuss this just, in details.
We gotta do a roll call. Alderman Jim Bayer,
No.
Alderman John Gibson.
No.
Alderman Jim Gillen. Alderman Darby Patrick.
No.
Alderman Mindy Schubert.
No.
Vice Mayor Teresa Mock.
Yes.
Mayor Pat Stillwell.
Yes.
Motion to accept.
Second.
Alderman Jim Bayer.
Yes.
Alderman John Gibson.
Yes.
Alderman Jim Gillen.
Ain't no changing mine now, no.
Alderman Darby Patrick.
Yes.
Alderman Mindy Schubert.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Teresa Mock.
No.
Mayor Pat Stillwell.
No.
Motion passes.
Discussion and consideration the FY 24 employee raises and evaluations. Do I have any discussion?
Yeah, I'm gonna make a motion that for the FY 24 budget,
I'd like to discuss this first before you make the motion.
You opened it for discussion, so you started discussing.
go ahead.
I'd like to discuss, if we're having problems with the budget, would this interfere with the raises, to give them 5%? I'd like to see 5% give to them.
This, was put on the agenda by Alderman Gibson, and so I don't have any, I don't know, he will have to explain.
Okay, explain.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion that in the FY 24 budget, all employees will be eligible for a 3% COLA raise with up to an additional 3% for a merit increase based off employee evaluations to be developed and determined by the city manager.
What is a COLA?
Cost of living.
I'll second that motion.
So the other 3%
All
Discretionary, based off the evaluation.
3% cost of living of 2% and a 2 or 3% pay increase. Is that already in there?
It was budgeted.
5%. The only thing this is doing over what's the 5 straight flat 5% is that it gives the ability for employees that score, above and beyond on the evaluation to get up to 1% up to 3%.
Yeah.
So that, I mean, that's, in our aspect of the budget, that 1% is not that much, and an employee's aspect of their household budget, that 1% is quite a bit. It's noticeable. So I mean, it gives the city manager discretion to be able to reward our top performing employees based off their evaluation. I mean, the standard expectation of, and she can just, Emily Wood can describe the evaluation a little bit better. She did at the workshop where it was like a 3-point rating, either needs improvement, meets expectation, or exceeds expectation. And the standard 2% raise would be to meet expectations. So we're already at 5%. All this motion would do is give your employees that you're wanting to use as like a retention tool, or the ones that are exceeding expectations, that option to give her the ability to give them 6%. That's the difference.
I thought we were gonna cap it at 5.
You got some guys that are working others, and it's not right, because one guy's doing all the work and the other guy's not doing nothing. I mean,
But we discussed 5, correct, Emily? We said 5 when we were discussing the budget.
And that's what you put in the budget?
That's what I
5%?
budgeted for.
5%.
I think we're talking about the evaluation part is what we're talking about.
Correct.
It doesn't matter if it talks out, if one employee's getting 6%, there's that extra money.
Right. It wouldn't be every employee that would get it. It'd be merit based. Right? It's up to y'all.
I have a motion from Alderman Gibson for 3% cost of living and up to 3% additional with performance review, and a second from Alderman Bayer.
But that's up to 3%.
Yes. Yeah,
Up to, right, correct.
yes. Alderman Jim Bayer,
Yes.
Alderman John Gibson.
Yes.
Alderman Jim Gillum.
Yep.
Alderman Darby Patrick.
Yes.
Alderman Mindy Schubert.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Teresa Mock.
I wanna ask one more time, it's not 6%, correct? Are you saying 6%?
A flat 3% for every employee.
Yes.
And then based off the employee review, they could be eligible for up to 3%.
So
It could, so in theory, the highest of the high performer could get 6%, yes.
I'm gonna say no because it's not in the budget.
Mayor Pastor.
I'm gonna say no, because like she said, it's not in the budget, and we're gonna keep on till we get, have to raise taxes, and that is not what we can't afford our taxes to go up.
I said we can't afford to lose our best workers either.
Well, we are not
Let
gonna.
me tell you something, if you
Right.
got a dud in your workforce, you know who he is, get rid of him. But that's just, I voted for it, but that's just, and I'm gonna tell you, Mr. Whitney, it's a bullshit excuse. Give them, I voted for it, just get rid of it. They either get 3% or 5%, we did vote for that, you did too. Every one of them in here voted for this.
I voted for the evaluation when I was going for it.
Like I said, if you got a dud after mowing your yard, how long are you gonna keep it?
Yeah.
He's gone. But we could take this back to the board, hack it out, do everything else, but it's still gonna be the same when you come out. It's still gonna be the same. But when the taxes come out, everybody in here don't pay taxes, but I do. I don't wanna hear no crying, because they're gonna come out.
I think every one of our employees pays taxes.
They always do.
That's what we're talking about.
He's talking about the board right now. No, everybody on this board does not pay, taxes. You don't know.
Anybody
You
on
don't
this
know.
board that buys something here in the gas
They're
station.
talking about, he's talking
pays
really
taxes.
about, if you, real estate, yeah. That's where they.
Actually, when somebody pays their rent, they're paying the owner's mortgage, and that's considered paying taxes. So, would you like to continue?
Move
guess it passed then, right? Yes. Okay. Discussion and consideration of the FY 24 employee raises and valuation. That's what we just did then. Okay, so, do I have any comments? Do I have a motion to close the meeting?
I just wanna remind everybody of our Nerf War event that's on June 3rd from 2 to 4, and you can sign up on the city's Facebook page.
You talked too fast, what'd you say?
On
the 4th what?
June 3rd from 2 to 4 is the Nerf War event.
A
And they can-
nerve, okay.
Yeah, and they can sign up on the city's website.
And also, we got the fire chief here, he can describe more about the retro, what we looking for.
I think he already said he's gonna do that on the workshop.
Give it that much for the workshop?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That gives us a little more, less formal area to ask questions.
Me. What time?
2 to 4.
At the park.
Upperville.
I'll put it up. Would you please say it again so that the media has not left this straight, so they had this straight?
Yes.
In other words, June the 3rd, from 2 to 4 will be the Nerf, Nerf what?
Nerf War.
Okay, Nerf War, okay, I thought you were saying work.
And I got
So
some
it's
guns
at the
if you
park,
want them.
at the park, that will be at the upper, where we had the Easter egg hunt, right?
Yep.
The upper part, from 2 to 4 on June the 3rd, okay? Thank you for telling us that.
I said, I got some Nerf guns if you want to buy them.
Are you not coming, James?
Am I coming?
Yeah.
I'm not a daggone kid anymore.
You're not getting hard?
That's for kids.
It's for adults.
Okay, she's got that.
I'm gonna go up there and shoot, I'm gonna shoot Jim McCoy.
Do I have a motion to close the meeting?
So moved.
No, you gotta go through the other down here. The comments.
So moved.
Second. Okay, this meeting is closed.